Your teenage years are some of the most confusing years of your life. You're trying to get good grades while balancing extracurriculars, while trying to make friends, while trying to make money. Sometimes I wish I could go back in time and tell 13-year-old Gohar some of the things I know now. And listen, I'm not some elder who has all the secrets to life figured out. I'm out here trying to navigate the realities of adulthood, but I am past my teenage years. So here are 7 life lessons I wish someone told me growing up. Lesson number 1, embrace the weird. I know, when you're a teenager, the last thing you want to be called is weird. I mean, the desire to fit in when you're 15, 16, 17 is actually unreal. You dress like those around you, you talk like those around you, you act like those around you, which makes sense because you want to feel included and accepted. But the truth is, the things that make you weird, the things that you're hiding from people because you're afraid they're gonna judge you, are the things that will make you successful. For example, when I was in middle school, I was really into web development, gaming, and writing. And alone, none of those 3 interests is weird. But when I combined those 3 to start my own gaming blogs, people were kind of like, yo, Gohar, what are you doing? Throughout middle school and high school, I developed nearly 10 different websites. I became obsessed with SEO, graphic design, and of course, writing about these games. Over time, I started placing ads on these websites, and it eventually became a small business. Now, most people were very supportive of what I was doing, but at the same time, some people thought it was kind of funny, which makes sense. Writing about games is kind of a nerdy thing to do. But whereas today I can embrace that fact and open up to you about it, 14-year-old Gohar was not having a fun time. At some points, I legitimately considered shutting everything down. But had I let those opinions get to me, had I stopped making these websites because of the opinions of others, I would not have gotten into MIT. Which is a crazy thing to say, I know. But why? Because web development was the most distinctive part of my application. Had I not pursued this weird hobby, I would have no point of differentiation. I'd be your typical smart kid with the grades and test scores, but nothing too memorable in the eyes of the admissions officers. And more importantly, I would have given up on something I genuinely enjoy doing because of the opinions of others. Which is a terrible, terrible thing. Listen, the things that make you weird are the things that'll make you memorable. They're the things that'll give you a distinct identity, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. Don't let anybody take that away from you. Lesson number 2, everything is a skill. So you have 2 kinds of skills. You have hard skills and you have soft skills. Hard skills are concrete and technical. For example, coding, painting, playing chess. You can improve these skills through practice and education. Soft skills are less tangible and relate more to your personality traits. For example, creativity, leadership, communication. I think young people often make the critical mistake of assuming that soft skills aren't trainable. They assume that if they're not a natural born leader or speaker, that they can't learn these things. But everything is a trainable skill, and I mean everything. For example, if you want to become better at communication so you can nail a job interview, this is a skill you can learn. There are dozens of frameworks out there that can teach you how to nail almost every single kind of interview question. And after enough repetition, you'll find yourself naturally acquire the ability to give concise and compelling answers to tricky questions. If you want to become better at leadership, put yourself into positions where you have to exercise quick thinking or rally people behind a cause. You're gonna be uncomfortable, it's not gonna be easy at first, but over time, you'll find yourself acquire the abilities of a natural born leader. Ultimately, I think the world likes to put people into boxes, which is a terrible thing. Introverted versus extroverted, analytical versus creative. And it imposes these boxes at a very young age, which can be detrimental to your self-image and self-development. When you're young, keep your mind open. Quite literally think outside the box. Put yourself into positions where society might not place you, and you might end up surprising yourself. Lesson number 3, it's never too late. Okay, so we've talked about soft skills, now let's talk about hard skills. When it comes to hard skills, young people mistakenly assume that they've run out of time way too early. Look, if you're 17, it's not too late to learn how to code. It's not too late to learn how to paint. It's not too late to do almost literally anything. Here's what I think happens. When you start to reach your later teenage years, you start to see some of your peers absolutely crush it in a certain area. And you think to yourself, wow, they've been doing this since they were 7, 8, 9 years old. It's way too late for me. But you are literally a teenager. You could pick up a skill right now and become world class at it by your mid-20s. Or you could start in your 20s and become an expert by your 30s. Or you could start in your 30s and become an expert by your 40s. As you get older, you'll realize that you are not on the same timeline as other people, and that's okay. There will always be areas where others are ahead and you're a little behind. And the opposite will also be true. There will be areas where you are ahead and others are trying to catch up. And that leads me into my fourth lesson. You are more capable than you realize. Now please forgive me for being that corny guy who quotes Steve Jobs, but I genuinely believe he was saying something very wise here. Listen.
Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use.
Again, we're pushing back against this idea of putting yourself in a box or constraining your actions based on self-limiting beliefs. Yes, there are a ton of smart people out there. For example, you have high school students winning science fair awards for researching diseases. You have college students doing groundbreaking grad level work in different disciplines. And you have young adults raising millions of dollars for their new innovative tech startups. But if you pull back the curtain, if you listen to the stories of these extremely accomplished people, you'll realize that their success has more to do with their character and perseverance rather than any innate ability. And this should be an extremely reassuring lesson to you as a teenager because it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. Again, it proves that you literally have time to start from square one and achieve some of your most ambitious goals and dreams. Also, I'm sorry if this is getting way too preachy, but let me know if you like videos like these. Lesson number 5, be explicit. If you messed up, own up to it. If you don't want to do something, just say so. Communicating clearly and quickly is such an important skill to master as you get older, and it's a lot harder than people realize, because the truth is, people are afraid to be honest. And not in an insidious or manipulative way, but because they're afraid of hurting someone's feelings or making them angry. For example, let's say your friend wants to hang out but you want to stay home. Now you don't want to hurt your friend's feelings by telling them you don't want to hang out with them, so what do? You ghost them. You pretend you don't see the message and you go about your day. From your end, everything might seem fine, but from their perspective, you are slowly chipping away at their tolerance. And quite frankly, you're just wasting their time. If you consistently ghost people or beat around the bush, people will think you're unreliable. And listen, your friends might not care too much. They're still gonna love you for you. But if we translate this to an academic or professional setting, then you are doing yourself much more harm. For example, if you can't make it to work, just be proactive and tell your boss as early as possible. If you're going to miss an assignment, just tell your teacher as early as possible. If you can't hold up your end of the group assignment, just tell the others even if it means they're gonna get mad at you. Because trust me, they're gonna be even more mad if you simply don't do the work without telling them. I'll be honest, I have personally had to learn this lesson the hard way on a couple occasions. And again, I know it sounds simple and obvious, but the reality is, very few people have internalized this. Lesson number 6, life is a presentation game, for better or for worse. In other words, your ability to succeed in this world depends more on how you present yourself rather than the skills you have. For some, this might sound great, and for others, not so much. But whether it's running for leadership roles, applying to college, finding a job, getting a promotion, everything depends on how you can package and sell your story, how you can inspire and motivate someone to vouch for you. And this is a lesson I learned in my senior year of high school as I was writing my college essays. I very quickly realized that my ability to stand out to top schools depended on how I could frame my activities, accomplishments, and backstory in a way that could appeal to admissions officers. And no, I'm not saying the goal here is to lie or to exaggerate or to pretend to be someone you're not. It's simply to reflect on your story and figure out which parts you want to present and how. For example, in my essays, I need to highlight themes that admissions officers look for, like intellectual vitality and leadership. Before my college interviews, I knew how I wanted to talk about my upbringing and background. Ultimately, and to put this more simply, you need to learn how to tell stories about yourself. Stories about leadership, stories about challenges, stories about creativity, whatever is relevant to the person that you're trying to appeal to. Lesson number 7, nurture relationships. And no, I'm not talking about professional networking. I'm talking about family and friends. The older you get, the harder it'll become to stay connected with people, and maintaining relationships becomes more of an active exercise. This will first happen when you move into college. Suddenly, you'll have way less time to talk to your parents, and it's going to be up to you to check in on them and see how they're doing. When you graduate college and get your first job, you'll suddenly have way less time to talk to your friends. And you'll find that in general, making friends after college is kind of a challenge. But it's doable, and if you want to maintain those old relationships and foster new ones, you'll have to put in the conscious effort. Personally, I've been doing that ever since I graduated college. I've been hopping on FaceTime calls with my hometown and college friends every few weeks, and honestly, it's been a great way for us to keep in touch. And with that, guys, we have wrapped up today's video. Please let me know in the comments if this was helpful and what you thought, because this video is not really related to study tips. As always, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you again next week.